Good morning. Welcome back to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. Been talking about your changing needs, all right, from early retirement, or from pre-retirement rather, 50 to 62, and then we were talking about early retirement years, 62 to your early 70s, and this I mentioned about Medicare coming into play there at age 65. Healthcare challenges typically start showing up as we get older, you know, hopefully, you know, if you take good care of yourself and you know, blessed with good genes, hopefully, but lifestyle is a big part of that as well. Staying active, doing the things we need to do. In this time with this, you know, with this pandemic, this is one of those areas that, you know, we're becoming more conscious than ever about the importance of our health and taking care of ourselves. And in particular, as we get older, the vulnerability, in fact, to this particular COVID-19. So how to plan around these things with regard to, it brings it to basically, in my mind, when I'm talking about planning, this is part of planning. This is part of whether it's that, you know, whether it's planning for healthcare challenges that we might have as we see, as we get older, more and more health challenges come up that we need to deal with, and how to deal with those things. And of course, having sufficient resources to give us more options, right? If you can do a lot more with regard to your health care if you've got more resources to help with that. And then also with regard to other areas that you're going to have in retirement to, as far as lifestyle issues and that you're going to need. As we get older, sometimes we may be, you know, faced with helping even, you know, our elderly parents. You know, got parents maybe up into their 80s, and we're thinking, you know, how can we help them with regard to what needs they might have? And if their health starts failing, you know, how do we, you know, might we want to have them closer by to where we can, you know, help them in that way? So a lot of different things that could come into play. And then our kids, sometimes, you know, in a time like this, how many of your children maybe were furloughed from their work, or, you know, maybe lost their jobs altogether, and what are they, you know, doing, and how maybe you're trying to help them. All these things are a lot easier when you've planned well for yourself in preparing for retirement. So in those early retirement years, we're going to look at healthcare issues and make sure that we've made the right choices. And this is with my clients, I'll bring in people even to help with this part of it. We delve into the basics of the difference between original Medicare, Medicare Advantage plans, and I help them basically determine what might be the best plan for them. We can bring in Medicare specialists that can also help, doesn't cost anything to get that kind of assistance. And it's a big choice. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars over your retirement years for healthcare costs. And I think the most recent number I'd seen for a couple age 65 was something like $300,000 in anticipated out-of-pocket healthcare costs over their lifetime. So it's a big deal, needs to be planned for, and can be planned for in an appropriate way. Later retirement years, and by the way, when it comes to healthcare and all these other things that we get into, there's a lot of ways that you can do this that can help, you know, applying certain strategies that help minimize that cost, and of course increase the resources to be able to cover the cost. So, you know, it's basically money in, money out. We want to increase the amount of money coming in and the amount of money available to you through what you've been able to save, at the same time that we want to minimize the costs on things going out, and that's where taxes also comes into play, right? So rates of return on your money, is increasing that, and it's safely, so we don't have to worry about losing it. And at the same time, we want to, besides increasing our income from our assets, we want to decrease the cost going out. So again, minimizing taxes is a big part of that, and we can talk about a number of strategies to help you there. All right, in your later retirement years, mid-70s and up, again, guaranteed income, Social Security, long-term care, Medicare, we've talked about all those, the healthcare challenges, and then, of course, the last part is legacy planning. When we talk about the 7 steps of financial freedom in retirement in my book, Chapter 7 is all about estate planning, right? That's that piece, not for a couple, it's also taking care of each other. So when one predeceases, that survivor is going to be well provided for and cared for during their later years, and that we've selected who's going to be helping with those kind of things as far as family or whatever those needs may be. And then we get into with that legacy piece, then what goes on as far as children, grandchildren, and so on. How can we minimize taxes and improve, basically make the most of our resources for our lifetimes, and then as it goes on, who do we want to mainly cut out? Of course, the IRS. We don't want them as our biggest beneficiary by paying an inordinate amount of taxes simply because we haven't planned well. So this is one of those areas when it comes to estate planning, it's a big part of your overall retirement planning as well. All right. Let's look at this peak in this age 50 to 62. Excuse me. Our conversations will evolve around your changing needs. So here's what we're looking at. Milestones. Your children, typically between the ages of 50 and 62, children have moved out. Any aging parents might require more care and assistance, like we were just talking about. It's the highest earning years of your career, so now you've got more opportunity, right? Hopefully the kids are taken care of. The parents, maybe, you're helping a little bit, but you've got more disposable income to put towards savings to make sure that you're going to be okay and have sufficient money. So making these catch-up contributions to your 401k and IRAs, may be needed. Develop a retirement income strategy. All right, this is another big one. This is a big part of what I do, is developing a strategy, a tax-efficient income strategy for retirement to maximize the income, minimize taxes, as I've just talked about, accommodate for inflation, right? That income needs to go up over your lifetime. It's not something, just like pensions don't. Typically, a pension does not have a cost of living. Federal employees, I know that's a difference for you. You're going to have cost of living adjustments as a part of that, but most do not, and therefore, if that income stays the same, right, and your expenses are going to go up over time, you need to have a plan to supplement that income and accommodate for inflation. And that's why it's so important to do the kind of planning we talk about. When you do this analysis and you can see your financial future based on the decisions you're making today. If you're faced right now, I had a client I think it was yesterday actually, I was talking to on the phone. And one of the things, a new client, and one of the things that we were talking about is he's got choices to make with regard to his pension. All right, does he take this lump sum? Does he take the income part of it over his lifetime? Does he allow for a survivor benefit for his wife? When it comes to the lump sum, there's also an option to take part lump sum and part pension. Which is going to be in his best interest? Well, we can run the numbers and see if you took the lump sum and we accommodate the income that's needed, what's that going to look like when we get down the road 10, 15, 20 years? Where are you going to have more money? Had you taken the pension, would you have more? Or if you took the money from the lump sum, would you have more? We can show you both ways. We can run it both ways. You make this decision, this is what it looks like. You make this decision, we run it that way. You can see the result of the decision, the outcome, prior to making the choice. Doesn't that make it easier to make the right choice? You can see it. It's pretty easy, right? I can show you. If you've got to have $100,000 more with this choice than this choice, pretty easy choice, right? Makes it a lot easier. That's the kind of planning that we do. All right, do we have a caller? Okay, so I'll get to watch that. All right. Don't want to get off track. So here's what when it comes to this, as far as the planning piece goes in, making sure that you've got sufficient resources and that you're planning well. So that tax-efficient income in retirement, how to go about that is a big part of the planning picture. Again, if you would like help with this on your own, just call our office, 615-376-5325 to get, when I say on your own, what I mean is have a personalized plan for your specific situation. All right, and this is one of the areas they talk about in these studies. Women and people of color have more concerns. Their numbers look even worse than others, and that needs to be addressed as well. What kind of planning are we doing there to accommodate those needs? So again, if you're one of the first 10, well, actually, I'll just open it up. If you call the office today, 615-376-5325, and we're going to play the show will be playing over the weekend. So yes, if you get this over the weekend, you can call on the weekend as well. We've got people standing by that can get your information, and we can still send out that packet to you. So if you're catching us on Saturday or Sunday or even Tuesday, we'll be able to take care of you as well. So again, 615-376-5325. We'll do a complete comprehensive plan, cover all all the different things that I talk about each week on the show, but for your specific situation, to show you your financial future based on what you're currently doing and how to improve it with the strategies that I've used over the last 30 years with my clients. So 615-376-5325. When you call in, get your information, send you out a packet of things to bring to your appointment with me. When you come in to see me, I'll also give you a free copy of my book, 7 Steps to Financial Freedom in Retirement. So nice package for you, no cost. Just give us a call. All right, back to the questions. So when we get into those peak earning and pre-retirement years, another is, when can you retire, and what will replace? This is probably one of the biggest questions I get asked most frequently, is when can I retire, and making sure I'm going to have enough income when those paychecks go away to maintain my standard of living, and again, add in for some fun money at the same time. How can I estimating the cost of health care and long-term care? We help you with that as well. And how to get the most out of Social Security, when to start taking it. You know, we were just talking about too many people taking at age 62, and that's like a 30% cut in what you would receive if you waited to your full retirement age, which is between 66 and 67. So when it comes to making his choice, and for a couple, let's say if you had an at-home parent that maybe stayed home to raise kids and everything, and doesn't have a lot that they would get from Social Security, they may be, if the higher amount would be 50% of what the other but the higher earner had, then there's another reason you would want to delay taking Social Security at least until your full retirement age. And so we share strategies on how to get the most out of your Social Security, which could amount to tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. And then rules about company benefits as you're getting into retirement, talking about retirement plans and that. And we'll get into that a little bit more after this break. Join me here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report. The difference between investing and speculating? Here is money tip number 83. Don't chase returns unless you want to see your dollars dwindle.